Hey everybody, and welcome to the video today. Today's video, we're going to take some thrifted items and some Dollar Tree items, and we are going to turn them into some cute Easter and spring decor. I'm going to show y'all before we put up all those little wooden hearts. If you hadn't already, get those back out, or if you see these out, get these little long wooden hearts, and you can still find these like at Hobby Lobby in the craft center. A lot of times they have some really cute little wood blanks, and they may have some hearts like this, but you want a long looking heart, because what we're going to do is turn those hearts after Valentine's into some carrots for springtime. I just painted mine orange, and I used some Dixie Belle Paint that I had, and then I went over it with some dark wax. Just wipe off your dark wax, and you don't have to add the dark wax. That's totally up to you. I'm just going to add a few little boxwood sprigs to the top of it for my greens, but you could also add some raffia or whatever you want to make your greens out of. I added a little flower sack bow, and this little carrot is done. I wish I had some more of these because I think these would be so cute grouped in a basket. Here's another little long cart that I thrifted at Goodwill, and I think it was $1.99. I found it in my supply, so I got it out. Now, I'm just taking some cream colored textured scrapbook paper that I have, but you could always use some orange, but I did not have any on hand. So I'm just going to show y'all how you can make one that is cream color. Then I'm going around with a pencil eraser. I'm just going around the edge of the textured scrapbook paper, and I'm just kind of giving it a frayed edge. I'm just going to use some super glue because I don't want to damage my heart. That way I can take this off and use it again next Valentine's. Again, I'm going to take some sprigs of my little boxwoods. I'm just going to tie them together, and then we'll glue them on, and we'll make the greens for this one. Now, these little projects right here were so much fun. So like I say, if you still have some of these little long hearts left out from Valentine's, or if you see these out at the craft stores, or if you find them at the thrift store, pick them up and make some cute little carrots for spring. Now on this one, I'm just going to add a little messy bow, and to do that, I'm just gathering up some little scrap pieces of fabric and lace I have. You just want to pile them up on top of each other, then just tie them really tight in a knot, and I used a piece of twine. Once you get it the fullness you want, then I just gather up both ends and I give them a trim. You just want to trim it down to the size of the decor piece you're going to put it on, and then I'm just going to apply it with some hot glue. Now these little carrots are done. Now after I got this one done, I realized this would be really cute if you embellished it with a little button. So that's just another idea. Now I've just got to show y'all these beautiful large postcards that I just got from Amazon. I'm going to have these linked in my Amazon store. These are absolutely beautiful. Y'all just saw two of them styled with the carrots that I just made, but these are large. They're 5.5 inches wide and 8 inches long, and you get 28 pieces of these. Y'all, there's so many things you can do with this. They do come with a ribbon that you can make a garland out of them, or you could just put these in some frames or just set them out as is in your vignettes. So just another beautiful decor item that I thought y'all might love, so make sure to check out my Amazon store. Now I'm going to show y'all how I'm going to upcycle these metal bunnies that I've had for years. They used to be gold, and I enjoyed them that way for a while. Then I chalk painted them, and I've enjoyed them this way for a while. But as you can see, the paint is starting to come off. So I gave them a fresh coat of white linen chalk paint. But as you can see, those little divots that are on their legs, I didn't really like that. So I decided to get out my IOD frames mold, and using some air dry clay, I'm just going to go in and I want to capture the detail of the tips of these frames. I'm not going to do the whole frame. I'm just going to get that ornate detail and just kind of make me some ornate detail that I can wrap around the legs and the arms of my bunnies just to cover up those little divots and give them a little bit more of a high-end look. So that's what I did. And now I just kind of had to adjust the sides of my clay molds. If they were a little bit too long, I just had a little razor blade and I would trim them off just to get them the right size that I wanted them. Once I did, then I just used some wood glue and I applied them. Now, once I applied them, I just kind of went around. I pressed down very gently so I didn't disturb the imprint of my clay mold, because you don't want to press it too hard and lose your impression, but just go around and make sure it's adhered really well and then let it dry. Now, once I got the one for the leg made and I got it on the way I wanted it, then I went in and I made another little trim for the front leg. Now, this one I'm going to wrap around its little arm around the bottom and just kind of make a circle out of this one. And like I say, I'm just kind of getting creative with this. There is no rhyme or reason to this, but I'm just trying to give you ideas. If you've got a project piece and it needs a little bit more detail to it, get out your frames mold. And you don't have to make the frames. You can just use pieces of these molds that make beautiful ornate trim for your projects. Once I got this mold shaped the way I wanted it around its bottom leg, then I went in with my wood glue again and I applied it to the whole mold and I went around with my fingers and again just gently pressing, made sure it was pressed down really good and it was here to the leg. Now I'm going to work on its top. I don't know if you call all of these legs or arms, but whatever the little bunny's legs or arms are, I'm going to do one now for the top. And I'm just going to go around and do the same thing. I'm just using the tips of those little frames and just capturing that ornate detail. And then this one I'm going to leave, I think I leave it the length it is. I wrap it around its arm and I get it to go around in a circle up under its arm, and then I trim off the excess. And then I just use my wood glue and glue it on. Now this right here made such a huge difference in the bunnies, but we're going to take this to a new level and I'm going to show you where the magic really happens. Once you get your ornate detail glued on and it all dries, then I went over it and I painted everything again white. Then I went out and I sprayed it with a Rust-Oleum clear sealer, and now I'm going to add some dark wax. This right here is the magic, y'all. Always make sure to seal your pieces first if your paint doesn't have a built-in sealer in it. That way the dark wax will manipulate a lot better and it'll get down in those little crevices of your detail and it just really brings it to life. And that's what happened with these bunnies. I just applied my dark wax. I went over it with a paper towel and I wipe it away, and you can see the difference that it makes. So I did the same thing to both bunnies, and like I say, once you get your dark wax applied, then you just wipe away and get it to the desired color that you like, and now here they are. I think these turned out absolutely beautiful. Now my sweet friend Monica, she sent me a gift box not too long ago with a ton of beautiful project supplies, and this hair bow was in there. And y'all, I've always showed y'all little girls little headbands and hair bows. They make the best embellishments for your projects. So this was just a hair bow. I took the clip off of it and I used the beautiful ribbon and I made a bow for each one of my bunnies. Now, I absolutely love these. I hope y'all will try this method. And like I say, you don't have to make frames out of your frame molds. Make some beautiful ornate detail for a project piece, and I think you will be amazed at the results. Another beautiful decor piece that I have displayed in my home is this beautiful rabbit wall art. Now, I got this last year, but it is still available, and I have it linked to my Amazon store. I also featured it last year, but this is one of my favorite pieces. I've got this displayed on my open shelving in my kitchen, and I absolutely love it. So I will have this link down below, or just go to my Amazon store, and it'll be under seasonal decor. Another really fun project piece to work on is kitchen utensils. And I love to pick up vintage ones when I find it. And I got this one for 50 cents. And in a video a couple of weeks ago, I did another little, it was like a little kitchen spreader spatula like thing. And I put a bunny on it. Well, on this one, since it's got such a little long blade on it, I'm going to use a beautiful piece of decoupage paper that I have. And I'm going to leave a link down in my description box, an affiliate link of where I get a lot of my decoupage paper, and they've got some beautiful papers to choose from. We're just using a glue stick. I just spread it all over the spatula, and then I laid down my decoupage paper. I spread it out really well using my hands. You let it dry and then just go around and trim off any excess paper. I'm just going to add a bow to this. Now you can set this out in your vignettes, and I love the vintage worn handle on this. It's just a piece that is timeless, and it has so much character, and you can just leave the handle the way it is, but display it in your baskets and your florals. And here's Mater and Tater hopping on to say, if you like the video so far, hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and the bell. Now I'm going to show you how we can upcycle some $1 Dollar General eggs. These are kind of like made out of like a bisque type material, but I got them in pink, blue, and green. And as soon as I saw them, I thought, you know what, I can turn these into some beautiful neutral colors, and we can just take these a step further. So I'm going to paint them 3 different colors. The one I'm going to paint with white linen chalk paint. This one I'm using Dixie Belle, and the color is drop cloth. And then the third one I'm going to use faded burlap. It's a very beautiful neutral color, but it is very pretty as far as being in the neutral tones. Once all of them dried, I went over and I sealed them, and again I used the matte clear Rust-Oleum spray sealer, and I just took them outside and gave them a good coat of sealer. Once that's dried, now I'm going to apply dark wax to 2 of them, and I'm going to add white wax to 1. Once you add the waxes to these, the dark or the white, it really brings out all that beautiful detail on these eggs. Now the 2 that are dark wax, you just want to apply the dark wax, get it down into the details of your project, then wipe away the excess with a paper towel. You may have to go back and apply some more dark wax in areas. Just get it the way that you want it. You can make it as dark as you want it or as light as you want it. If you ever get too much dark wax, you can always take a baby wipe and you can wipe back over it, and that'll remove a lot of it too. This one right here, I just kind of worked it till it got down into those little crevices of the flowers. This is the faded burlap egg that I painted in the faded burlap paint color, and now I'm just going to add white wax to it. I thought the white wax would be pretty on this, and just add a little pop of color and just give you more ideas and inspiration of how you can use your waxes. Now I'm going to show y'all a thrifted piece I found at Goodwill. It was $1.99 half off, so it was $1. So I just removed the little burlap bow, and I'm just going to go over it with my little razor scraper tool. And I have that little tool in my Amazon store, but y'all, that is a great little tool to have. Now I'm just going to go over this, and I'm going to use white linen chalk paint. I'm going to give it a couple of coats till it's fully covered. This is one of my all-time favorite bunny stamps. I'm going to use some, I think the color ink I'm using is charcoal. It's kind of a dark gray versus being, dark black. But you can also use black. But I just kind of wanted something that was a little bit more toned down, so I'm using a dark gray instead. I just, put some ink on my stamp. I'm going to ink up my bunny. And I've used this bunny on so many projects, y'all. So this is a great stamp to get. You get several stamps on the sheet with this bunny. So it's a great one to have. So now I'm just going to go around, and when you use your stamps, you want to apply them to your project. You want to make sure that it doesn't slip. And to do that, just hold it down really good with one hand and work it onto your project piece with the other. Now, y'all know me. I have to add wording to things, and I always have scrap transfers. But you could also use a stencil if you prefer to stencil something else onto your project piece. But I always have scraps of transfer, so I just applied a little bit of wording to the bottom. I had this little scrap transfer, so I thought this would add a little pop of color up in the corner, so I added it. And just to give it a little bit more of a rustic shabby chic look, I added a couple of strands of twine around it. I added some little scrap fabric bows and a key. But in that little twine hanger now, you could add some vintage photos or some little vintage postcards. Now I'm going to show you how we can upcycle this little bunny. I love to pick up bunnies, and I got this one at Salvation Army, and I think it was $1. But I'm going to turn it more into a vintage style bunny. So I'm going to remove its little straw hat. I'm going to remove its little cute little crochet dress, and we can always save this for something later. Now to upcycle and make this look like it's more vintage, I'm going to soak it in some coffee. And to do that, it is so easy. I just take leftover coffee from that morning. I just put it in a little, little container, and I just let it soak. I worked it around with my hand some. I kept turning it as I went just to make sure all the areas got, soaked in coffee. Now, you don't have to leave this any certain amount of time. I maybe have left mine maybe an hour. Take it out, wring it out really well, and get as much of that liquid out as you can. Set it up, let it air dry, or you can put it in your dryer. Now, I kind of wanted to tone down its eyes, make them look a little bit more vintage because they were dark black. So I'm just taking some burnt umber craft paint with a little paintbrush, and I'm just dabbing a little bit of brown paint on his little eyes. Now I'm going to take a little thrifted frame that I got. I think I got this at a yard sale a couple of years ago, and I'm just going to take it. I gave it a couple of coats of Dixie Belle's drop cloth. It's a beautiful neutral color. I painted it, let it dry, and then I'm going to go over it with some dark wax. I want my little frame also to look vintage. So I just kind of worked my dark wax on it till I got it the way I wanted it. Then I'm going to take some sandpaper, and I'm going to go around after I dark wax it, and I'm going to rub over with some sandpaper just to rough it up and let some of that gold come back through. Because like I say, I want this frame to look vintage and worn, because what we're going to do is we're going to go out and we're going to print out a little printable. Now you can print out whatever printable you want. Just go out and search on, free printables for the Velveteen rabbit, and I found one. I printed it out and sized it down to fit my frame. Now I just cut a little piece of poster board to fit my frame, and I'm just going around with some school glue, and I'm going to hear my little quote, my little Velveteen rabbit saying that I printed out. And I just rolled it over with my brayer and smoothed it out really well and just put it back in the frame. Now we're going to set this out with our little bunny. And I think this right here turned out so adorable. But I just tied some bows around its ears, some little scrap ribbons and fabrics that I had, and also some around its neck. Now I think this little bunny got a cute little makeover, and now he looks very vintage, and we can set him out now in our baskets and in our spring and summer decor. Now I'm going to show y'all how we can take this cute little piece that we got at Dollar Tree. This right here is a really good piece for $1.25 because you get several little components on it that you can use or you can upcycle. But we're gonna focus on the bunny today, and I'm gonna show you a couple of ideas of how you can upcycle this little bunny right here. The first thing I did was I cut off the little burlap ribbons that were, keeping it all tied together, and then I just cut all that away. Then I went on the back and I removed the staples, and then I went around and sanded down the little holes where the staples were, just so I'll have a smooth surface. I also removed the little tie around its neck and that little aluminum piece that was on its ear. Now I'm going to give it a couple of coats of white linen chalk paint, but you can paint your bunny any color you want to, but I'm going to go with some decoupage paper, and a lot of times white paint as your background will make your decoupage paper look a lot better. I'm just going to go over it using my blow dryer just to speed up the drying process, and once my paint is dry, I'm going to show y'all a very large piece of decoupage paper that I've had, and I've really been wanting to use it. I love the little grain sack stripes it's got on it, and I love that writing. So I'm going to capture a little bit of that on my bunny. Now I'm just going to work side to side. I'm using DIY Liquid Patina as my decoupage medium, but you can always use Mod Podge. Once I did each section, I just go over it with my hands really good, and then I get out my brayer and I'll roll over it with my brayer just to smooth out any wrinkles or bubbles or excess decoupage medium. Once everything is dry, you'll want to go around now and just trim off as much of this excess paper with your scissors as you can, and then go around and smooth it out with some sandpaper. Now I'm just going to tie a little frayed little piece of fabric that I have around its neck and just give it a little embellishment around its neck. You could also give it a little poofy tail if you wanted to. Just get a little pom-pom and glue it on. I'm just going to go around the edges of mine now with some dark wax. Very lightly, I'm just going around the edges, and I'm just going to give it a little of a dark wax distressed look. Once I got my bunny decoupaged in the previous project, I flipped my bunny over, and this is what he looked like. Well, y'all, I really like this. So I'm going to show you how I achieved this, and this is the simplest little DIY project. But it's going to make it look kind of chippy looking and kind of worn, and we're not even going to paint it. But do the same thing with your bunny. Remove all the embellishments from it if you haven't already. And once you do, all you're going to want to do is go on that side that's got the slick paper on it. Take this little tool that I have, and y'all, this will be linked to my Amazon store. If you don't have one of these little tools, you need to invest in one. They're very inexpensive. I think they're less than $10, but let me tell you something. I use this about on a daily basis. But I'm just going to go around with it, and very lightly. You don't want to gouge into the surface of this. You really just want to get more of that, that white look. So lightly go over it with your razor blade and scrape it. If you do dig into the wood, I'm going to show you in a minute how we can repair it. Once you get most of your paper peeled off, and a lot of times if you can just get an end worked up, you can pull it off with your fingers, and then that'll leave some of the excess paper on it, and that's what we want. We want it to look like it's got paint scraped off of it. So now I'm just going to take a little bit of white wax in a couple of places that I may have gouged down and got more of that brown and it's showing through. Just add a little white wax in those areas and you'll never know it. So y'all, that is all we have to do to get this cute little chippy looking bunny. Hey y'all, let's keep on having fun. Now let's make some decoupage jars. I love upcycling jars, and these I've already did in a previous video. I painted them, and I did a couple of them in pink, and I did some in white. But I'm just going to take those that I've already done in previous videos that are already painted and save myself that step. But you just want to paint your mason jars your desired color. Then I'm going around with a wet paintbrush, and I'm taking a napkin, and you do want to remove all the sheets of the napkin until you get it down to the 1 ply. That way your napkin will be very thin, and it's going to decoupage onto this jar and look like it's just a graphic made into the jar. Once I went around the whole napkin and I ripped it up, used my little wet paintbrush, and got it down to the size I wanted it. Now I'm going to apply it to my jar. I'm just going to use my DIY Liquid Patina, and I'm applying it with a brush. Very gently, you want to work it down with your fingers, and then I'm going to show you another little trick. And some of y'all have commented and let me know that you can also use plastic bags, or you can use like saran wrap, cling wrap. I am out of that, but I did have a little plastic bag that is like a little bread bag that you get at Walmart. So once you get your napkin or your decoupage piece in place and you get it decoupaged down really well, then take your little plastic bag or your little cling wrap and just go over it. This right here doesn't stick to your paper, and it doesn't tear it like our fingers do. So I'm going to do another one, and this one I'm going to do the pink one, but I'm just taking this beautiful bird napkin, and a lot of times napkins are so inexpensive, and I have some linked in my Amazon store, so if y'all are interested in some beautiful napkins, make sure to check out my Amazon store. But I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to rip this one down, and a lot of times napkins, you can get at least 4 different graphics or the same graphic out of one napkin. So again, I'm just covering my jar with my DIY Liquid Patina. I apply my napkin in sections. Now it will wrinkle, but that is the lovely part of it. A lot of the wrinkles you can work out very gently with your fingers, or we can take the plastic bag and just keep rubbing your plastic bag or tapping it down and work out the wrinkles till you get it to the way that you love it. Now I've got one little bird napkin left, and we're not going to waste him. I just found this little piece of scrap wood in my supplies, so I'm just going to use it. I'm not even going to paint it white. I am going to go over it really liberal with the decoupage medium, and I'm going to center him on the scrap piece of wood where I want him, just to make sure he looks even and he's in the middle, and I've got enough of the design on each side that's evened out. Once I got the decoupage medium applied all over, I'll go across the top of him, and I seal him down good and give him a good layer on the top too. And then I go over it with the little plastic bag and just kind of tap it and work out those wrinkles. Once it's dry, I'll go around with a piece of sandpaper, smooth out the edges, and remove any excess paper. I'm going to take another napkin that I have, and I got these beautiful napkins from my little friend Emma. She sent me a package last year just loaded with beautiful napkins for me to decoupage with, and I really appreciate her doing that. And I've absolutely loved all the ones that she sent me. She really knew my style. And I did some projects last year using this beautiful lavender one. Now I'm going to use it again. I found this little white little canister at Goodwill, and I think it was $1.50. But on one side of it, I'm going to add this beautiful lavender napkin, and we'll do the same thing. Just pull your sheets apart till you've got it 1 ply, and that just means you've got, it's the real thin part of the napkin. And sometimes napkins are 2 ply or 3 ply, but just make sure to pull all of that apart. And also save that. You don't have to waste the part that you pull apart. You can use that like paper towels, or you can use it maybe on some other projects. But again, I'm just gonna load up my decoupage medium all over my jar where my napkin's gonna go. And I did go around and rip it with my wet paintbrush just to give it a more, a rustic looking edge. I didn't want it to be cut out and look square. I did want it to look, just a little rustic. So again, I'm going to take that plastic bag, and I'm just going to go around and very gently go around and work out as many wrinkles as I can. Once it's dry, I just added some beautiful florals to it. I added a little vintage bunny tag I made, and I got some new bunny stamps. And y'all, it comes on a large sheet of all different kinds of designs, and I'll make sure to link them down below. But if you're interested in those, I got these at a little Etsy shop. So I'm going to link her Etsy shop down below. But that is all I did, and look how beautiful this turned out. I did want to mention the little flower pots with the dried flowers that you're seeing in my staging. I picked these up about a week ago at Big Lots, and they were only $4.99, but I thought these were so pretty, and I always love dried florals. So I just wanted to bring this along. If y'all see those at Big Lots, that's a really good deal. Pick those up. They style really well. Now I've got this cute little bunny napkin. This one come from Emma also last year, and I've got some of these left over, so why not use them? So I'm just taking my wet paintbrush, I'm going around and I'm ripping all the edges, and I get it sized down, and I'm going to work on another one of these little pink jars. You always want to turn your jar to the flat side where there is no, embossed writing on it. And some jars have embossed writing on both sides, but you will need to use jars that will have flats, at least one flat side. And I'm doing this again. I'm just working in sections, and I work it around, and I just go over it with the Liquid Patina. Once I get it applied to the jar, I go over it with my little plastic bag, work out some wrinkles. We'll add a little bow around this one, and now we've got another little cute jar that we can set out. I think making a bunch of these little jars, making, different designs on them, set these out. I think these would make a beautiful grouping during spring and summer. Wow, y'all, we are at the end of the video. Before I close out, I want to show y'all this beautiful large Swan planner that I just got. This is going to be in my Amazon store. I've been wanting one of these forever. When the box arrived, it was so big. Ben and I could not even imagine what we had ordered that would come in such a big box. Well, when we opened it up, it was this Swan. It was very nice packaged. It is very large. So if you're looking for one, I highly recommend this one. And I will include a link to my Amazon store down below. As always, y'all, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I hope y'all have a great week. And I will plan to see y'all, Lord willing, in my next video. Bye, y'all.